get these levels going for this week. Woo! A nice little pop to start the week. Let's see something real quick. I don't believe it though. I think we're gonna get some rejection just coming in sooner than later. Any company you want to chart this week, G, for the charting session? Anybody in particular you want to look at? Keep it with the oldies but goodies. I want to go over the levels from last week and see what hit and what didn't hit based on what we were watching. So that's what I'm going to do now. Let's get that out the way. Let's go to the weekly chart and go through each company here. Let's see how that panned out. Let me go to the momentum. Oh yeah, momentum. A lot of things overbought this morning. IWM, everything getting ready for a rejection. So be careful if you're out there trading Monday morning. It's a dangerous world out there on Mondays. All right, let's look at IWM on the weekly. IWM last week. Let's go to this chart. Make it. IWM last week we had call entry at 251. Kind of where we're testing right now. Let's go back to the daily so we can show it. See how it would have played out. So last week on Monday, IWM took that crazy push. You could have caught that 251 call entry on Monday that you see right here. 252 target, 254 was call target number 2 we had set up. So we had this 252 target hit and the 250, what he said, 250.50, 254.80. 254.80 we got up there on Tuesday. So IWM targets, both targets were hit this week on the call side. Last week on the call side, so we're going to highlight those in. Oh no, that's too bright green. And then it was such a crazy week last week that you could have hit call inputs. So if you weren't greedy and you took your profit when calls hit target, when we swung back down and we started coming back down to put entry, you could have caught that put entry at 249.90 on IWM. And what we was looking for? We was looking for 246.60 and 244.36. So you catch it on the way back down. 246.60 literally bounced off of that on Wednesday. Gave you put entry again on Friday. On Thursday. I'm sorry, bounced off it on Thursday. Thursday gave you the opportunity to catch that put entry and write it down to the target. Friday, it came to put entry again, and then we closed back down there, target 1. We didn't hit target 2 at 244.30, but we hit target 1 at 246.60. That was something that was possible to catch, all right? So we're going to highlight that this put entry was hit. That target was hit right there. Let's move on to SPY. My God, SPY. We expecting rejection today off of 670. Looking like that may play out, so I'm getting ready to probably enter that trade. I gotta go check the short-term momentum real quick. Let me take a look at the short-term momentum on SPY really quick before we take that. SPY on a 30-minute was sitting pretty overbought. Oh, it just crossed to the downside on the 30. Oh yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time, y'all. I'm jumping in the put. He who hesitates is lost, okay? I see the play. I see the confirmation I was looking for. I see the momentum in my favor. We're going to play that 670 rejection. Don't do a 0 day. 0 days kill. So we're gonna do a 1 day contract. Let's see. Let's see. Where was the gap refill? Ooh, we had a gap refill all the way from 662, huh? That's crazy. So it is possible that we come back down and refill that gap. That's going to be the overextension pullback if we do that. But it is possible. So overnight we had this over weekend gap right here from 663. Show the chart. Yeah, from 663 in this area right here, and we gapped up to about 664. We could pull down and refill this gap right here and then bounce back up. Okay. Let me see something. These contracts, see, you know the contracts are expensive because we got super volatility in the market. These contracts are expensive, even a 1 day, 0 day. They trying to overcharge. That's okay though. We gonna take the move. Because this is continuing to tank. It's still moving down. So we want to catch it before it breaks below the opening. 667.90 was pretty much where we opened up at today. So we want to try to catch it definitely before it pivots below there. And let's look at IWM too, because IWM might be even weaker. Oh, I like IWM as well on the pullback. I'm going to show the levels we called out today. We have IWM put entry is going to reject, supposed to be rejection off of 250. So IWM is right near that level right now. Let's see their contract cost versus SPY. Let's go and look at IWM contracts versus SPY. Let me pull it up on the screen for the people to see too. So IWM, it's a lot of calls sitting up here at 253. I believe they will start stopping out if you get below 249. There's a lot of open call interest up there. A lot of put interest in here down up to 247. So I don't see us pulling back too much lower than 247. If we do pull back on this IWM or SPY. SPY contracts are ridiculous right now. SPY contracts are a little pricey for such a short time frame. I don't feel like putting that much money up on such a short risk. So we're going to go with IWM instead. And IWM, we're going to look at similar targets that we just looked at last week. We just looked through the IWM, so we're going to try to play the same rejection right here. That usually comes down to 246. If we get 244, that'll be golden. But we're going to look for this 246. I believe that could hit. This could hit for sure right here. So that's the level I'm going to look for on the IWM on this pullback. If you jump in the put right now, you don't want to see the IWM get back above 251 pretty much. You want to see a hold below this 251.50 level. and take that accordingly. You know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying. So that's a live jump in right there. Okay, so we jumping into IWM. We're gonna look for that pullback to 246.60. The alert is set. Just gotta keep our eyes on it. And I might even take one SPY contract because I really do want to jump in on this SPY pullback. What's up? I think I'm gonna do it. We're gonna go with SPY as well because they rejecting off that 670. And I'm gonna do a 1-day put, the 666 put. It costs 260. Now I'm only getting one. I'm only getting one of those. God damn, execute my order. Stop playing with me. Okay. So we in the 266 puts on SPY right now. Let's pull up that SPY chart. I mean 666. I said 266. 666 puts on SPY. So we're really looking for SPY to trigger. That's even before it refills the gap down from overnight. Gap down from overnight on SPY 663. We'll look for 666 to hit. First level you could look for to break down is 667.50. We break down below there. More likely to hit 666. And then we could come for the 664.80 level. I'll probably take profit right there. We get down to 664.80. It is a 1-day contract, so you don't want to be in it for too long. Holding on, looking for all this overextension pullback. Take your profit. You're definitely going to have 30% by 664. Probably going to have it before then. Feel free to take it as soon as you see 30%. Or the target. The target. Whichever one comes first. Yeah, boy. That momentum. No, I'm telling you, that RSI indicator is no joke, bro. That shit let you know a pivot is coming. Momentum does not lie. It could be short-lived momentum. It could overextend and come down fast, so fast that it'll pop back up quick. But you'll see it on there too. Like if you have a quick down rip and it's too aggressive, then you'll see that another bounce back up is very possible if it comes down too quickly. But let me see right now if that's the case right now, because I don't know if that's the case right now. Nah, right now, based on how my momentum looks like we are at the 75 mark. We were above 90 earlier this morning, so we came down from 90 to 75 on the 30-minute. And the RSI just crossed to the downside on the 30-minute. Below 59, came down to 57. 59 is the base mark, and 57 is where we're at now. So it's a cross down. And the next cross down we will need on momentum is the macro momentum on the KST. That hasn't crossed to the downside yet, but both of the shorter term RSIs have crossed. So let me look at the hourly real quick. Oh yeah, we crossed on the hourly. The 2 hour, not quite. Let me see the daily. The daily, believe it or not, was getting ready to cross back to the upside. So that's why I said this pullback could be short term. You gotta be careful, and then we could get a bounce near the end of the day. Because the macro momentum is still it's bearish, but it's trying to pivot bullish. And the micro momentum is definitely pivoting bearish right now. So that's why I'm not looking for no overextended pullbacks. Give me 666 SPY. I'll be happy right there. IWM, bring your ass down to 246.
They got a buy gap on the Qs have a buy gap on the hourly in pre-market.
Yeah.
Get some bounce around there.
Yeah. What price you see that at?
That buy gap. Well, I'm looking at the Nasdaq,
Mm-hmm.
the MQ. It's on NASDAQ. It's on QQQ too. Yeah, that hourly on the Qs is around 5.99. Around 5.99.
Yeah, I see that. We coming for that now. If we engulf on the hourly, if we put a 3 bar in right now, because right now it's a fail 2 up on the hourly. If we put a 3 bar in, oh, it's coming down. We got 16 minutes left on this hourly.
It has another buy gap at 5.98.12. I don't see it coming down fast today with all these buy gaps.
That's one. Yeah, there's a lot of buy gaps down there trying to support it.
Yeah. So if it does, it's gonna keep finding support.
Let's see if we looking how we looking at when the Qs hit around 597.30. I ain't touched the Qs today. I just did SPY and IWM. Those two right there, and those two looking weak. Yeah, SPY about to cross down below 668. Let's go. Yeah, 670 rejection was the perfect entry. I put out the levels on the chart this morning. I mean, on the in the image I put out this morning, I'll get all the levels for the ETFs for the day traders. But all right, let me go ahead and get the rest of these levels. See what else we hit last week. So last week with SPY probably did the same pattern as IWM as far as hitting the call entries. Yeah, we definitely triggered SPY last week. Everything triggered on Monday on that 3 bar. That Monday 3 bar was a trigger for calls. You could roll that up to 679. So SPY did hit both call targets last week. On the way back down, 671 would have been stopped out. 669 put entry. You could have caught that put entry. What day was this? This was Thursday. 669 trigger for the SPY on Thursday, and it gave you 667.50. Did we get 664? We got 664 on Friday. So if you swung these puts through Friday, you could have got put entry. You could have got put targets last week and call target. Yeah, last week was a volatile last week. You could have hit on both sides, honestly, in a few of these trades easily. But the only way you can hit on both sides is staying disciplined and taking profit when you hit the target. It's the only way that works. If you hold too long after hitting target and you get caught in this pullback, next thing you know, you're still holding the call through this whole dip right here. You don't want to be doing that. All right, let's go to NVIDIA. Let's look at the NVIDIA chart real quick. NVIDIA. Let's see what they talking about. From last week. Let me look at Monday. Monday's probably this big ass 3 bar right here. Yeah, it sure was. Last week, call entry on NVIDIA was 181.50. So you took call entry right around here. 183.60 was a target. We hit that 183.60 right here on last week on Tuesday. It went all the way up to 185.80, which was the second target. So NVIDIA hit both call targets last week beautifully. Beautiful, beautiful. And then the put targets, 177, 174. We did not touch those last week. You would have had to get it on Monday. Monday you would have got bounced right out of it. You would have got stopped out of it. So last week the put entries did not rock out for NVIDIA. Okay, let's go on. Let's look at gold. Let me see what gold do. I gotta keep an eye on gold, man. You gotta keep your eye on gold, man. Look at gold pulling back right now. Gold is on a little pullback right now. Gold will also give you a decent forecast on the market, what's about to happen. Which is why I think we're kind of about to bounce, honestly. Whenever they figure out this deal or whatever they're going to talk about with the Strait of Hormuz, I think they're going to come to some kind of agreement over there. Because we don't want to be in this war for much longer. I think we accomplished what we wanted to accomplish in terms of destroying whatever you feel like we needed to destroy or wanted to destroy. in order to keep our leg up in the competition in the oil world or crypto world. And now it's time to find an exit strategy. But that exit strategy, I think, is gonna be found by the end of this week, maybe next week, and that could be a catalyst for the market to start jumping again. So let's see how that pans out. And if that does pan out, that'll correlate pretty well with the macro momentum I'm seeing on the ETFs on the daily. That'll align with the bounce that I see coming in on those. Because right now, most of the ETFs on the daily are oversold. Yeah, like IWM is below 8 on the RSI, below 30 on the short-term RSI. Medium on regular RSI is at 38, so that's pretty oversold. So if we start making that deal and getting out of this situation, you'll see that these RSIs will start crossing back to the upside on the daily for the ETFs. Let me see if anything crosses the downside on the weekly. Yeah, the weekly's got to cross back to the upside as well. The monthly still hadn't crossed to the downside for IWM. We do not want to see monthly start crossing to the downside on the RSI. That is going to be ugly. Yeah, monthlies are still pretty strong, even for the Qs. The Qs are still strong on the monthly, but the weekly, they all dip below. So the weekly RSIs and daily RSIs are in a bounce mode and potential to cross back to the upside. So I will watch for those weekly and daily RSI crossovers on the ETFs to signal when that bounce is really coming in. All right, gold. What happened with gold last week? Did we hit on anything with gold last week? Did we strike gold on anything? Let me see. So gold, we had called entry at 476.30. Monday. Let me see. Monday. Last week, Monday. You could have caught that call entry. Yeah. Monday was the call entry time. You could have entered on Monday. And it capped up on Tuesday. That would have been lucky because 476 was a target. It gapped right above 476. It actually touched that 481. It actually touched second target by Tuesday. You would have been very disciplined and got out off that gap up. No greed. That's why you can't be greedy, because look at the rejection that came in right after. Right after touching that second target, started to reject back down and cross back down below call entry on Thursday. And then puts triggered on Friday. So you could have grabbed some called puts on Friday. Did we touch target? Gold put triggered. At 464, 458, 86 was a target. We did not touch that until today. So you would have had to swing gold through the weekend to catch this put. So I'm not going to say that hit last week, but the put entry did trigger on Friday, telling you to jump in. You could have swung those gold puts through the weekend, and you would have been up pretty nicely today, because gold contracts move very nice. Gold moves fast. Like some gold option contracts, I was not aware how fast those contracts move, so I started trading them. But gold moves $1 or $2, $3. That contract could be moving 200%, 300%. It's a wild delta on those. If you don't know what delta is how fast the contract is going to move for every dollar that the stock moves. So when you buy your option contract, make sure you pay attention to the delta on it, so you know how much money you could be making or losing for every dollar that stock moves. All right, let's look at one more. One more that I liked last week that I want to look at this week for sure is Palantir. Palantir was in a little breakout last week, but they look like they got a stranglehold put on them. They plateaued at around 161. When was that on? That was Friday. So this was last week, starting Monday. 155 was the call entry. So last week, Monday, you see it opened above call entry. You probably wouldn't be able to take that. Then it dropped below it, came all the way down. What was put entry on Palantir? Put entry was 145. Yeah, Palantir just chopped. We were in consolidation. It didn't really give you call or put entry last week. It's sitting between those two levels again today, 155 and 140. What I had it at 140, 145.60 right down here. So sitting between that range again. I wouldn't touch Palantir, especially depending on how this war news develops. They could end up taking a pullback if we end up saying we're going to get out of Iran. A company like this will pull back off of that news. Micron, MU was a big one we had on the list last week. I know these guys are all over the place. Oh my God, look at them at 447 today. Sheesh. Jumped right back up. So Micron last week, we had the call target, and I wanted to do calls on Micron, but their contracts are so expensive. So this is big money play right here. Don't play around with Micron if you ain't looking at spending like $900,000 on a contract that expires in a week. This is one of those. This is for you guys, right? Got contracts in here for everybody. The cheap contracts, expensive contracts. All that matters is the price levels and that they hit, right? So you can make money. But last week, Monday, call entry on Micron was $394. Last week, Monday, you see it traded from $364 all the way up to $388. Didn't trigger call entry, but on Tuesday, it triggered call entry when it broke $394. That was the time to enter. And then we hit target one of $411. We hit that by Wednesday. That target hit. We chopped back down Thursday to call entry level. Friday, it popped back up above the first target. And I'm sorry, the second target, 415 was the second target. So you actually could have just gotten out when we crossed above on Wednesday, took in your profit and been done, because we had, oh, I'm sorry, no, 431 was the target we were looking for. That's right. So you would have had to wait till today to get above that 431, but Friday we could push up to 428. Honestly, Micron, because of how expensive those contracts are, I wouldn't mess around too much for target 2 stretches. I will be out by target 1. So you got that last week. I would have taken that profit and been up out of there. So that's another one we hit on last week. Oh, wait, I didn't mean to change that. So as you all can see, the price levels that we give out weekly do hit. If you're paying attention and you have your alerts set, you can make good, significant profits in your portfolio. It just requires patience, discipline, and focus. That's really it. The levels are given for you. You don't even got to find the levels. We're giving you the levels. All you got to do is set your alerts and follow the program. 30% take profit or target. Cutting losses at 15, 20% or stop loss, whichever comes first. With that formula, you should not see much of a loss accumulation in your portfolio unless you're just, and you're not going to be consistently taking losing trades. Trust and believe. It may feel like that way for maybe a week, but the following week or the 2 weeks after that, is going to reverse back into your favor, especially if you're waiting for confirmation on those call and put entries. All right, let's get back to the chart. Let's see what we got going on for this week. Let's get the levels in for this week. And let's see what we got going on. See what companies we want on the list. I'm going to take AOI off the list this week. We're going to get rid of, let me see what Bloom Energy is doing right now, because Bloom Energy is one of the biggest IWM holdings. Bloom Energy is getting smacked down right now. They're near in put entry. Ooh, if they get below put entry, IWM is getting smacked. If Bloom Energy gets below this 150, 140, yeah, IWM is going to follow right behind it. Let's look at the IWM chart. Yeah, we got to watch this, boys. We got to watch their ass. These buying blocks right here is where it's catching this little support right now. We got to see IWM break down through 248.90, and then we got this to come down to. So on the short term IWM puts that I'm in right now, I'll be good. Like I said, I'll be good. I'm looking for 246.60 really, but I'll be okay if we touch 247.80. Around this range, I'll probably take profit right here. So I'm going to put my alert. hit the target. Labeling your levels is very helpful and useful because you have a whole bunch of alerts going off. You won't necessarily always know what they're for. So you want to make sure you are setting and labeling your alerts when you set them. Something that I learned later on in the game that I wish I knew earlier on. It would have helped me be quicker with my reactions to alerts. Alright, so we're going to get... Let's get Bloom Energy. I'm going to take them off the list this week. I'm not really watching them. Coinbase, I do want to keep them on the list this week. I want to watch Coinbase. I'm going to watch gold. I want to see what gold does this week. Google. Where's Google at right now? Do I want to see it? Google's been in a vicious chop. Floating around 300, so I'm not going to keep Google on the list. Google hasn't really been moving. We will need a breakout. Microsoft has been giving good price movement, so we could look at Microsoft again this week. They've been all over the place. Micron, these contracts were expensive, but I did want to watch them last week. I felt like when they dipped below 400, that was an opportunity. But now, they can have that. All right, they can have that. Those no contracts too expensive. Nvidia, we'll keep on a list. Palantir, we'll look at another company there. Q's and Spy, we'll keep. Broadcom was one I did like to watch. Was one I am wanting to watch. Let me look at Broadcom on a weekly. Yeah, they're still in that vicious consolidation. Broadcom is ready to break out or break down. So that's why I really want to watch Broadcom. They've been in consolidation for now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 2 months they've been in consolidating. They're bound to have a break in one of these two directions. So I do want to watch Avgo this week. Either to catch this breakdown back below 300 or to break out back up to like 350. You know what? Nah, we're going to do a done company. I'm going to take Avgo off the list this week. I don't have to worry about Avgo. Let's find someone else. Let's find someone else who is looking like more likely to either pivot or break out or break down. So this is when I like to go to my screeners and look at what they're showing, see who's potentially fulfilling some of the parameters I put in on those screeners, showing that it is something that's bouncing, something that's in potential breakout. Right now, AMD is looking like it's in a nice little bounce. I'm not lying, but let's look at, like I said, let's look at the screener list and see what they're saying to us. All right. So right now on my accelerating growth screener is showing these companies right here. We have Nvidia, Micron, Palantir, which is another reason why they were on my list last week, because they popped up on this screener and they all had nice little pounces. Vertiv Holdings, I don't know too much about them, so I don't trade them. Sienna Corporation, but I have heard a lot about these two. Credo Technology, this is another one I've heard of. Credo, you know what Credo, right, G? You heard of Credo Technology? I forget what they do. Let me look them up. CR.
Oh, what is Credo Technology?
CRDO. Oh, I feel like I heard this name before.
Credo?
Yeah, they ain't.
The only Credo I know is Credo Mutual.
Maybe that's why I sound familiar.
That's the only thing that I reference, bro.
That might be why I sound familiar, bro. But they engage in development of connectivity solutions and products for data infrastructure markets. And products include integrated circuits, active electrical cables, and SerDes chiplets. So,
What's this company founded?
this company was founded in 2008 by Chi Feng Chang and Yat Tung Lam. Its headquarters in Georgetown, the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands? Oh, they smuggling money through this. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Macredo. Let me see their chart. Let's look at their chart on the weekly. Let's look. They came up on a screener for a reason. So let's look at the weekly chart. This is definitely a tech-related play. Let's look at the industry they're in. Their information technology services. Their IT play. Look at some news on them. Let me see. They had earnings recently. They did just beat their earnings pretty nicely recently. Okay. The CEO just sold $8 million in shares though 2 days ago. $8 million is not that much though. Probably just needs some cash. Probably trying to buy a house or something. Okay. I might look at them some more and keep them pulled up. Enlight Renewable Energy. Okay, let's go ahead and look at, let's see. Technical screener. Let me see. Nvidia, Micron, Intel, Dell, Vertiv. When I see multiple companies coming up with multiple screeners, that means something's definitely about to happen. Nvidia is coming up on multiple screeners, which makes me think Nvidia is about to have a big pop soon. They're coming up on multiple of my screeners. Micron as well. Dell, Intel. I've been sleeping on Intel. Intel's about to make a move over $50 soon. And when they do, they're going to start making that run towards 100 pretty aggressively, I think. They got the government supporting them and backing them. Let me see. Sienna Corporation's on this list too. Quatera Energy. Alright. Let's see what's potential to bounce right now. Looks like Eli Lilly keeps coming up on my bounce screener. Eli Lilly pulled back below $1,000. I like that. Last 3 months they're down 8%. Lamb Research. Lamb Research is one I like to look at. Lamb has been coming up a lot on the bounce screener, like it's prepared to break out of its pullback that it's been in. Let's look at Lamb Research right now. That's my momentum. Yeah, let's look at them for a second. So on the weekly, they look like they're catching this support very well down here at 195 to 200, and not getting much lower than that. So this week, if I charted Lamb, what's the potential that we have for breakout with them? Potential, ooh, that's a pretty decent move from here. It's a good 5% move from where we are from call entry 231 to the first target. Second target will be about 9 to 10% move in the stock. All right, so we could test out Lamb here as far as a push. If they reject below, all right. If Lamb research this week is above that 221 line we just marked, then I'm going to look at this as call entry. Let's put that in on here. Lamb research call entry. Lamb, I like how your chart looks. If we get a 2 up on this weekly, we could be set up for a nice bounce. But if we pull back below, what level is this right here? If we pull back below 213.50, I want you to start looking for some puts on Lamb research. And we want to ride that wave down to 210.10. And then you could go to 205.50 after that. On the call side, though, if we get this call at 221, that could lead to a nice bounce up to about 228.97, which I like. I like that a lot. And then you got 230, pretty much 234, 233.99. If you want to be safe, you get out at 233.50. And those will be the 2 call targets for Lamb research. Yeah, let me throw them on the list for sure this week. All right. Let's put these levels in. I'll plug these in. Like we said, 221.31 call entry. I'm gonna look for that 228.97 target. And 233. I'm gonna put 233.50. I like to keep the people safe. We'll stop out if we get below pretty much kind of where we are now, 217. The put entry is gonna be 213. I'm sorry, 213.40. 210.10 is the target on that, and 205.50. Stop on those puts. You'll get out of those puts if you get above 217. I'll keep it 217 both ways. This, depending on how expensive the contracts are, I might make this a weekly contract, because this may be something I want to hold, because I do feel like when land starts to pop, they're going to make a big pop. So if I get a call on them, I want to make that call expire at least a month out. You can play it short term, like maybe within a month, but I wouldn't do anything shorter than a week on Lamb research. You gotta get at least 2 weeks out. But I'm gonna look for some month contracts on them. You can look at those now, see how much they cost. So you got, let's go to April 2nd, right? April 2nd. And we had the hold on. How does it like this? We had the call target 228 and 233. So we could look at something around those ranges. 230, 250 call for April 2nd right now is about $600 or $680 around there. You could probably get it for like $650. Then you got the 235s for $530. You could even do the 237s for $545 or $400. Because you have a good amount of time on it. April 2nd, it's a good amount of time away. Well, gives you about a good 3 weeks. And you're going to be spending less than $500. And if we come anywhere near the contract, you see what the contract prices are when it gets close to the money or in the money. You're looking at $1,300, $1,200, $1,000. So you could turn this $400 into $800 in the span of maybe 2 weeks, as long as the move gets there. Less than 2 weeks, maybe, even in that, if we get a move up to 230. I'm going to be looking for April 17th contracts probably. give me like a 240 call or 250. I could go a little further out the money, but I got more time on it, about 2 more weeks. So I'll pay that same 500 a little further out the money, but I have more time. Okay. I gotta try the strategy finder here on TradingView. See what this is all about. This is a new tool. I like new tools. And they identifying call and put strategies for you to try out on certain stocks. Give you the break even, the theoretical. Okay, expected payoff. Okay. I like this. We're gonna dig into that some other time. Now let's look at the ETF levels for this week, and then we can get up out of here. Give y'all those price levels to watch. I'm gonna share with you all. Pull up the ETS first. Let's make sure that if you are show you the scalp levels for the day, and then we could. All right, so looking at the ETFs, right? We got the levels for the day right here. This is how I present my daily levels for the Culture Shock community. So if you're a subscriber, you'll get this at least 3-4 times a week. You're going to get the daily levels to look for. I don't particularly favor scalp or day trading, but I know a lot of people do it. So I try to give you the levels so you could do it safely. It's like kids. It's like parents with teenage kids. You know, it's like, I don't necessarily want you out here having sex, but if you do it, use these condoms so you be protected. It's something like that. All right? So SPY today, you see we had SPY put entry rejecting off of 670. So that's kind of what is playing out right now. That's what I entered my put based off of. I saw the momentum dying out up here at 671, so I wanted to play the 670 rejection. So we're looking for that to finish playing out. And you will look for the same thing if you're looking for puts on the Qs and IWM. These are the reject levels you look. All right, and then once you get the rejection, here's the targets for you to look for on those put entries. Here's the targets for you on call entries. And these are the call entry levels you look for. Always wait for 30-minute confirmation. So we trigger above this price to say we get above 675. You want to wait for a 30-minute candlestick at least to close above there. I really want to say hourly, but 30-minute because I know people are impatient. Give it that 30-minute close and make sure momentum is in your favor. When I say momentum is in your favor, I'm talking about you using the RSI indicator. So you want to say, all right, if I'm going to jump in a call based off of these gamma levels right here, I want to say, one, did the 30-minute show me confirmation, right? So this is the 30-minute close above or below the level I'm looking for. And two, is this momentum pointing in the direction I want it to be? Is it, if I want the stock to be going down, is this pointing down or has it crossed to the downside already? Has this purple line crossed below the red? If not, then there's a good chance that that may not be the greatest of entries because we may get rejected back up to the upside if I'm looking for a down move. And same thing to the upside. Has this crossed to the upside yet? Showing me that momentum's in my favor. If you don't see that crossover happen, but you see the alert trigger, you want to be careful. And that's why the hour and 30-minute confirmation is important. But if you got the confirmation along with the momentum in your direction and the crossover, that's when you just got to jump in the trade. And if it pivots on you, there's no guarantees in the market. So even a situation like that can pivot on you. But you want to get as many factors in your favor as possible so that when you jump in the trade, it has a higher chance of success. And when it doesn't work out, if it pushes the opposite direction, that's why you have your stop loss level. You got to know where you want to stop out at, okay? You want stop loss levels. I give out all that in the Discord. I give you the call entry, put entry, stop loss for the short term, for the weekly. We have long-term trades and investments. It's not just about trading, it's about investing as well. So 3 to 5 year investments in here that I call out for the community. So make sure if you're not in it already, you join. The link will be below this video on YouTube and then Facebook as well, and on Twitch. So this is all the free information and knowledge I give out on a weekly basis. I hope you guys take advantage and enjoy. I have to now dive into the charts deeper with some private companies like Tesla, Apple, Google, Microsoft, but that is exclusive. Okay, so everybody that joined the live today, appreciate you all. I will see you next week. We will do some more price level setting and finding out what the short-term trend is looking like, and even going into some macroeconomic news. I'll dive more into my review and my report. But if you do follow us, you know we post up the Market Alchemist weekly financial blog that pretty much gives you an overview of the stock market, what's going on in the stock market news-wise, and how all that stuff aligns with the potential price movements that you're seeing. You know, you want to know what's going on in the news as well as what's going on technically on the chart, because they do correlate. Fundamental and technical analysis overlap at certain points. So you want to make sure you pay attention to the news, and that's what I try to bring you: the news, the technical levels, and the education every week. So join the Culture Shock community so you get exposure to all of this. All right, especially if you're here in the black community. We need this information, and we need to be informed and spoken to in the language that we understand, and speak with someone that understands us from where we are. And I am that person for you, okay? So make sure you sign up today, and I will see you all next week. All right.